This video looks at BA 375 online marketing. This is the final chapter in the digital marketing strategy book, chapter 20. In chapter 20, we're bringing together the previous 19 chapters into a final cohesive market strategy. So the 5 steps of developing an effective strategy, and we're going to go through each one of these individually. So step one is assessment. So this is taking stock of all of the information about our company, or a full assessment before we can even build a strategy. What is the purpose of our culture or our business? What are we working towards? Are we looking to build sales? Are we looking to build brand recognition? Are we looking to do both at the same time? What buy-in do we have around the organization? So this talks about leadership buy-in so that you have support for the strategy, but there may be other institutional buy-in that you need to get besides just who's making a final decision about the project. You want to have widespread company support. What technology do you have available? Do you already have the technology in place to launch a digital strategy or a new digital campaign? Or are there new tools that you need to look at? What is your budget? Do you need more? How do you ask for an increase in budget? How do you justify that? Do you have the resources you need? Do you have the people in place? Do you need to hire more people? And who are the stakeholders? Who is going to benefit from this campaign or this future information? Who's involved in decisions about the campaign? Who needs to hear about the campaign or the information about the campaign? Once you've taken a full assessment and identified exactly what things you're trying to hit in this campaign or this strategy, then we can start working towards some of the foundations. And in the foundations, we have customer service. We have the foundations of digital marketing. We have 2 slides about the different foundations. So this is, again, where what is our historic performance data? How can we use the historic data that we have to inform future strategy? Can we look at products that are similar to the products we're trying to promote? Who is our current target audience? Are we trying to reach a new target audience? Are we following all of the regulations around data privacy, accessibility with our website and our tools, the privacy acts? Okay. How are we going to collect the data that tells us whether or not this particular strategy was successful? What's our attribution strategy? So what attributes do we want to look at? So when we're looking at attributes or attribution strategy, we're looking at, does the analytics capture the first place the customer came from, so the first thing that generated a lead, or the last thing that generated the lead? Or do we want to spread equal weight across all of those categories? Do we have exact targets, measurable goals? So think about those SMART goals from earlier chapters. Is it measurable? Is it specific? Okay. And then once we get clients, how do we retain them? When we're creating the strategy, what is our content strategy going to be in place? Do we have a destination for our customers to visit with tagging and search engine optimization keywords already in place? Do we create a new landing page for each campaign? Or do we have a landing page that we update every time we change campaigns? There are multiple ways to manage that. What is our social media plan as part of this strategy? How do partnerships and social media benefit us? making sure that our analytics are set up to gather the information that we need. If we have a reporting dashboard, if we're using a tool like Tableau or Power BI in order to report our results. And then we need to think about the sophistication. So what kind of data? How are we collecting data? How are we cleansing data? Are we buying data from a third party? What cultural considerations? So this all gets down into the research plan of our strategy and what exactly we're including in this very specific strategy and what exactly we're measuring in this strategy. Cultural considerations. If our business is international, we have to consider cultural differences. Sometimes you even have to consider cultural difference if it's not international. We need to remember that culture is not just geographic location. There are many components to culture, and even a geographical location or a different country can have varying cultures within it. So we can't just limit culture to geography. Localization. So how do we optimize SEO, especially for local stores? So if we're a small business, locally based, then we need to rely on social media and SEO strategy to get people to our physical location. The channels that we're using, do we integrate? Are they relevant? Are we using an overall tool such as a CRM to bring in all of the data from different social media channels? Then we should formalize. We document our strategy and we communicate it to others. What is the strategy? We should focus on the 5 W's, or is this book talks about the 6 S's. So what the synopsis, what are we doing? The scene setting, the why, what are our goals? Story, details of the content and tools that we're going to use. Sums, how much is all of this going to cost? Steps, the how we're going to do each phase of the strategic plan. And then surprise. And this is, we should be prepared to answer questions about the campaign before its official rollout. We have to understand the psychology of the different decision makers within our organization. This goes back even to that leadership buy-in. How are we going to get people to buy into our strategic plan and support it? Okay? So this talks about the different types of decision making. And this is a fairly broad decision making tool. It's not just focused on digital media. So we have everything from opinion, so personal preference. It's a personal opinion of an individual, and it's not tied to any data analysis, all the way to consensus, where a majority must approve the given course of action, and the minority of the group must also accept the decision. So is it a single person that gets to make the final decision? Do we have a group that makes the final decision? Is there a vote? Is it majority rules? How are we getting that buy-in for this strategic plan? And once we've launched the plan and are collecting data on it and we're in the daily, then we need to think about continuous improvement. When strategy is implemented and successful, that doesn't mean that we stop doing what we're doing. We need to update. Many strategic plans are redone every couple of years. Some of the stuff that happens in a strategic plan might continue for 5, 10, 20 years. Some of it we might do for 2 or 3 years and then decide that we're not going to continue with it. This is all part of our review and continuous improvement process. We need to think about the organization as a whole, make sure that our strategy is flexible enough to respond to changes. If we have a flexible strategy that can respond to various changes, we can make that strategic plan last longer than a strategic plan is rigid and would have to be written anytime that there was a major change or a major overhaul. So this is the final chapter in the digital strategy